Okay, as you can see, we have just entered a trade here just a moment ago. Got filled at 80.75, or in other words, 1280.75. You can see the left dashed lines over to the left-hand side. We had just had a trade at 79.50. It did drop to our first objective, but then rallied on us, so we ended up with a break even on that trade. So I quickly put this order in, and as you can see, somewhat fortunate, but a lot of volume right now. Was filled right on the high of that bar just a minute ago. So we're now short 4 contracts at 1280.75. We just hit our first objective, so the stop has been reduced from 6 ticks down to 3. Okay, we've just hit the second objective, so now the stop has been reduced down to our break even. Notice that the stop does get adjusted down, our buy stop, because we are short right when the price is filled, not when the order is filled. So I'm going to cancel this on the final contract because this is a pretty heavy down day, and we could potentially be in for a pretty good trade here. So I'm just going to manage the final 1/4 of this position manually. So I'm going to put in a buy stop there at the entry price for the final 1/4 of our position. So we've already exited 3 out of the 4 contracts. So a 1.5 gain on the first, 3 ticks or 3/4 of a point gained on our first target, and that was for 2 contracts, so that's a total of 1.5 points. And we also exited at 1.5 points on our second objective, and of course that was just for 1 contract. So a total of 3 points made on this trade that we've locked in, and we now have our protective buy stop at break even. So should the market rally here and stop us out, then we would be stopped out at 1280.75, which is our entry price, and we'd have break even on the final 1/4 of our position on this trade. So we're just going to monitor this, and hopefully we can get some more down. We had, of course, today is Monday, August the 1st. 2011, and we've had the crisis, if you will, of raising this debt ceiling in the news big time here for the past week or so, and longer than that, of course, but very intensely over the past week or 10 days. And supposedly there was an agreement reached yesterday, being Sunday. It still has to be voted on apparently in the Congress, so I guess things are still up in the air. But when President Obama made his press conference on Sunday evening stating that there has been an agreement reached, the market had already gapped up because in the overnight trade on the Sunday evening, the market opens at 6 p.m. Eastern time, New York time, and the market did gap up strongly on that open. When I mean gap in this instance from the previous day's close, from Friday's close. So it gapped up approximately 15 points. And when that press conference was held by the president, the market didn't really have much of a bounce at all. I guess it was pretty well baked into the equation. And it maybe rallied a couple points, and that was about it. So didn't really do anything at all. And then, of course, had a big sell-off when the news was released at 10 o'clock Eastern, but had also started to sell off prior to that in the overnight session. So pretty bearish tone to the market here today. And, it's just... I guess all of this uncertainty makes it very, very difficult. So, we'll just kind of have to wait and see here. But I don't really follow the news while I'm trading. If the market, I know when the economic news is to be released. Like, for example, this morning at 10 o'clock, the ISM manufacturing number was released, as well as the construction spending, and obviously not very well received at all. At that time, the market was trading around 1292. and within just a few minutes it had dropped some 15, 17 points or something like that. So uh, that bad economic news on the backs of um, an agreement already baked into the equation, where the agreement perhaps was kind of not the best agreement in the first place. Certainly a lot of people not thinking that it's not really addressing the underlying problems here. So now the market has reached plus 3 points here on us. It's dropped to 1277.75. We're short from 1280.75. So I have adjusted our protective buy stop to at least salvage 1/3 of this move. And what we do to manage the final 1/4 of our position on these trades is, if we're short, we look for a selling paint bar, and then we will use that selling paint bar to help us adjust our protective buy stop. In this case, we don't have a selling paint bar since we've been in this trade. So what we will do as an alternate, we will adjust the stop as the market moves 3 points in our favor, and really monitor that more or less on a bar by bar basis. And as the market continues to sell off, make adjustments every 3 to 6 ticks, where we will lower our stop in this case because we're short another tick or two, 3 ticks, 1/3 of that being a tick. If it moves 6 ticks in our favor, obviously 1/3 of that is 2. So we'll just keep adjusting that stop down in that manner when we do not have the selling paint bar to work with. I'm just checking my data here. Things have seemed to have stalled here. Let me just see if I can look over in this other indicator here, see how my data is coming in. Does my data's, I don't know if it's my internet or the exchange or my computer or whatever, but okay, there it is back. I think it might have been it may have been my internet. I don't know, sometimes that happens, but okay, so the market has continued lower here. Took that little bit of a gap while our looks like it was just off for maybe a minute or something like that. So that's good. It's continuing to drop here. So I have to make a quick calculation here. We're short from 80.75, and now it's moved to 75.50. So that's about 5 points in our favor. So I'm going to make an adjustment on this stop here, and at least salvage 1.75, which is approximately 1/3 of 5 points. So I'm just going to okay, there, just squeeze that down a little bit so you can see the entry, get a little more detail. I'm just dragging that scale down so we can see it a little bit better. Maybe I can adjust this a little bit better here so you can see the whole trade, if you will, or the entire chart. You can see where our entry was, and that kind of thing. So this is good. I mean, this is what we knew. Not that we knew it was going to happen, but we certainly knew that there was a good potential for a nice sell-off here in this very bearish environment after the president's brief news conference last night, and then of course the very lackluster response to that, and then of course the very negative economic news out this morning. So certainly good potential on this trade. It really perhaps has a potential to, I know that when we're looking at this, just make another slight adjustment on that. I know we were looking at this earlier, we had not really a support, but around the 71 area as a potential target. So we'll just kind of keep monitoring this and see what we can, so this is good here. Okay, now we're getting a nice looking selling paint bar. It's not totally a selling paint bar because you can see our definition of a selling bar is a bar that takes out its previous bar's low. It's not an inside bar, it's not an outside bar, and on the 1 minute for this purpose, we're not really looking at where the bar closes, although I do believe that where the bar closes is important, especially the longer time frame bar you're looking at is maybe even more important. But um, in our work, we know that one of our paint bars forms the high or low 8 of 10 times, but well, it's a little bit less than this, about 75%, 76% of the time over the week. So every week that goes by, you obviously have 5 lows and 5 highs. Our average is about 7.5 of those. Okay, we've got a really good selling bar here. The high, as you can see there, at 74, 75. So I'm going to lower this stop down to 75.25, 1275 and a quarter, which is just 2 ticks above the high of this selling paint bar, this pink magenta bar that has just been formed. So 75.25, we're short at 80.75, so that'll lock in 5.5 points on the final partial. So this is a nice trade. We are getting that movement lower that we were hoping for, and this trade, who knows, we might be in this trade for quite some time. So I'm going to give this about another minute and then maybe put it on pause, because quite often these trades can these are the kinds of trades that we can actually be in them for quite some time, an hour or 2 or 3 even. So we'll just let this go here for a minute. I'm going to pause the video here. Well, I'll just let it run here for maybe another minute, but I'm going to pause it because I don't want I don't want the video to be too terribly long, because quite often the market will pause after forming one of these magenta bars and stay within its range and just sort of catch its breath after having this pretty strong sell-off. Yeah, you can just see these next 2 bars totally within it. So I think what I'll do here is just go ahead and put this on pause. Okay, so I've reactivated. You can see that the market did get down to 70.25. We've been in this trade now for about an hour and 20 minutes or so, and we have not had another selling paint bar to work with. So our stop has not changed. It's still at 75.25 to lock in the 5.5 points on the final. I've already made 3 points on this, so it'd be an 8.5 point trade. Which would be a $425 gain should we get stopped out at the 75.25, which looks like it might just happen this time. As you can see, it's come up fairly close to this another couple of times within the past hour, but it's not given us another selling paint bar to make the adjustment on the stop. So that's why I've just left it at 75.25. But it does, I mean, who knows, but it's been, a lot of times the market bangs its head up against a barrier. The more times it does it, the more likely it's going to break through, and either that or just give up the ghost and sell off really, really strongly. But we've come down here, we've made 3 successive lower lows just by a tick or 2 or 3 each time, and now we're coming back up, and we've had these little peaks here, intrafractal highs just below our price. So a lot of times it'll break through there and maybe even have a half decent rally. Okay, there it goes. It has stopped us out. So yeah, we're in that trade a little over an hour and 20 minutes. So I cut out that middle part, just put it on pause while the market was just fluctuating back and forth there, not really doing much. So a nice 8.5 point gain on that trade, $425 on the 4 contracts before commission. So anyway, that'll be it on this trade. So thanks for taking the time to watch it, and we'll see you at eminidaytrader.com.